Hey, this is Stephen Amell, and you are listening to Tomorrow's Legends, the podcast. Don't fail your city.
You think you know the story. You've heard it 100 times. But this is not the tale that you know. For this part of the story has yet to be written. Join Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11 as they take the Wave Rider into the near future and check in on some old friends. This is the new adventures of Superman and Lois, as chronicled by Tomorrow's Legends.
Hey, Superfam of Steel, say what? Doomsday? I'll tell you right now, if that was how the show ended and we got no pickup for season 4, the network would truly know what Doomsday was all about. Ugh. What a chance they took with that, I tell you. But anyways, we are here for the season 3 finale of Superman and Lois, which was cleverly and blatantly called What Kills You Only Makes You Stronger. How did we not see it? Okay, let's give Kerry Johnson some credit because he did see it. He predicted it in the very first post on our Facebook page. So way to go, Kerry. We'll give you props on that. Because I am the blind and dumb, apparently, Flash tonight.
And I'm Harley Quinn.
And I'm flying to the moon because Superman needs some help with Doomsday. I'm X-Force 11.
Hello, legends.
And Gideon is not hiding either. Or are you hiding? Are you hiding, Gideon? Does Doomsday scare you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, nothing scares her. We are part of the Cybercast Network, which has a bunch of shows covering some of your favorite topics. We are currently doing Tomorrow's Legends right now, which is what you're listening to as we talk about Superman and Lois. We also have Dive into DC with the Silver Vox and Green Butterfly, and they go deep into all your DC content, comic books, TV shows, movies, you name it. They're there for you for all of that. So check them out because they're we're very proud to have them partnered with us on our network here. And then we also got the Mandalore podcast, which covers all the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, and Ahsoka is coming. It's getting close, guys, so we're all excited about that. Mm-hmm. And then there's Cybercast with Cyber Movie Review, and there is some new reviews on there if you haven't checked it out yet. I'm about to record the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny review, so get ready for that. As well as Fast X, the Fast and the Furious number 10. I went to see that as well, so I got 2 more coming. So check those out. That is it for our network breakdown. Let's get to some news. Do we got news tonight, Jeff?
We do.
All right.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
Well, as Flash alluded to, we are coming back for season 4 of Superman and Lois. And with the writer's strike, we don't know exactly when it's going to be. Typically, it's, in spring, mid-season. We know that CW has released their fall schedule, and we're not on there. So it's at least going to be mid-season, but it may be a little bit later because the writer's strike, we just don't know. The writer's strike has to get cleared up before they can get started writing and then filming. And we talked about it over on the group that we talked about it last episode that we're going to be a little bit smaller cast, so we'll think about how that's going to work. But we're really glad that we're officially back for a season 4. But we don't want to leave you without content for almost a year. So we are planning to give you some good content between now and then. And the first thing we got up is, starting in August, is we're going to do a rewatch of Legends Season 3.
Woo!
And so...
Does everyone remember that show?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So this will be cool because I did not get to podcast on season 3. I left feedback, but I didn't get to podcast on it. So this is going to be fun, and we're going to do this at a more leisurely pace. So the plan is to do probably about 2 episodes a month, and each episode is going to cover 2 episodes of the show. So a lot slower format, and we'll give you time to get in your information, and so you're not as rushed to get stuff in. And that'll give us time to, basically cover from August through the first part of December, covering everything. We've still got to work out backstage if we're going to do, when it gets to the crossover, we're just going to do our 1 episode of the crossover. We're going to cover the other 3 episodes.
We'll have to figure that out.
We've got to do that, and then Flash has got some other content that we may be doing in the spring, depending on when Superman and Lois are coming back. So we're going to keep doing podcasts for you, so stay subscribed. We're going to have stuff for you, so keep tuned in.
Yeah, because I think revisiting Legends is going to be fun, like doing basically 4 episodes a month. So we're going to do episode 1 and 2, and then a couple weeks later do episode 3 and 4, and so on and so forth. So we'll get through it pretty quick. So make sure to get in your feedback on if you guys are watching with us and what you thought, and if you feel differently now after all this time. Because season 3 is how many years ago now? So it's a little.
It was where they introduced Constantine.
Yeah. So
I believe.
Yeah.
So
Damien and Nora Dark.
Yeah.
It's a dark one.
Yeah.
Is that with Malice? Is that the bad guy?
Yeah.
The bad guy. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Malice.
Yeah. I know. There's that running
the jury's
joke.
Still out.
Cool. That'll be fun. And yeah, like X4 said, the other content, we're looking at a couple other TV shows just that aren't part of the CW superhero stuff, just to see there's some other superhero based TV out there. And I found a couple that I wanted to check out that might be fun for all of us to get into, just to fill the time and discuss things. So we'll let you know when that comes up.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, we got something. I haven't gotten to play this in a while. Letters lost in the timeline. So after our show last week, we got an email in from Ken from Chicago, and he said, to follow up on your podcast last week, time. Yeah, the writer's strike has resulted in less content and more free time to write into the podcast. Jordan, he's a teenager and still having trouble dealing with emotions and his first love dumping him. Why? Because he lied to her about his powers. Why? Because his parents told him to. So for some reason, he's not so trusting of his parents. What they need is to sit down and talk with him. Not talk at him, but much less yell at him, but talk back and forth with him. They may not know his reasons. Jordan may not know his reasons, but he can share his feelings and work through that. If they do, they might figure out that Jordan simply wants love and respect. Lex, call this number. Wait, that's my phone number. Chilling. Kidnapping the mom in front of the child and explicitly leaving the child to tell the dad? That's diabolical. Yes, Kingpin is similarly evil, but he's always been physically a menace. Usually Lex is only a mental threat, his brain versus Superman's brawn. As in John Cryer as Lex on Supergirl, Jesse Eisenberg in Batman vs. Superman, Gene Hackman in Superman the movie, etc. Even here, the Michael Cudlitz version gets the crap beaten out of him in prison. His threat is his mind. Actually, Lex has rarely figured out Superman was Clark. A famous story when a hireling did find out, Lex fired him because Lex couldn't believe Superman would pretend to be so lowly a character. It's a variation on the justification of glasses being a disguise. Most people don't expect to see Superman and dismiss any similarity.
They see what they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good argument for that, even though a lot of us go, oh my god, it's just glasses. Come on, people. But, exactly. That's why it works. The daughter. Lex has a daughter around 30 to 31? Who else is on the show is around 30-ish who may have changed her name to hide out? Yes, yes, yes! You're sleeping with a fireman? Better than an ex-convict, and you changed your name? I got tired of accidentally waking up my iPhone. Oh, that's right, this is totally new to you. Please, I know your phone's IMEI. How do you think I knew where you were? You've hacked my phone? I'm Lex Luthor. You're my daughter, Alexa. It's Chrissy. Alexa, and I'm your father, and my reach goes pretty far. Well, that's how I imagine they could drop a bombshell. With everyone focused on Mateo's parentage, no one asks about Chrissy's. Anyway, I look forward to the season finale and review of the season finale. So he thinks Chrissy could be Lex's daughter? Could you imagine?
Yeah.
That would be a heck of a twist.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if they were getting more time in season 4. But since they're not, I don't know.
Yeah, and now that she's not even going to be a main character, like we're going to talk about all that stuff, but
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, because if she was, then he's suddenly going to be a grandpa now that she's pregnant, and that would change a lot of things. And why would Lex not want to be part of that? Like, I feel like they're going to bring in somebody new to play the part because he's obviously very, very angry about his daughter not wanting to speak to him. So we might see a glimpse of her. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good idea.
We'll talk more about it in this episode.
Yeah. We will. Well, let's get to our ratings and review.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Look at these numbers.
Yes, indeed. I gave this one 9.5 Doomsday payoffs a season later.
Totally, eh?
So this ep turned out, differently from the season finales of Superman and Lois and Stargirl that we've known on their ears, because we had the character stuff for the first half and the action for the second half, and they did not hold back. They introduced Bizarro, Clark in season 2 as Doomsday, and then they paid it off this season. They didn't resolve a foe like Doomsday in one episode. We've got it continuing into next season. And so we've got Lex and Doomsday in season 4, at least to start off with. But I've got questions on how they're going to wrap up the stories of the supporting cast without them being regulars. So that's why I'm only giving it a 9.5 instead of, a 10 or
only only a 9.
Yeah, a 9.5.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was an amazing episode. I started off at a 9, and then after my second watch, I got to raise it to a 9.5. So it was excellent.
So what you're referring to is that Stargirl did all the action first and the character stuff later, where Superman went the opposite route. That's what you were referring to.
Right, and even in previous years, we've had everything happen action-wise, and then we spend 20 minutes doing the happy-feely stuff that you don't particularly care for, and then the setup for season 2. So they kind of reversed it with this episode. They had the tie-up at the beginning, and then the action at the end.
Yeah, and I mean that just shows you the Superman writers are on point. They know what's going on. They've either listened to people or they're making changes to improve the show. They're continually improving the show, and it's awesome.
Yep. Well, I am right there with X-Force. I give it 9.5 Deaths of Superman because they went there, or they're going there. I don't know. The introduction of Doomsday is always a Death of Superman storyline, or at least it should be. So we'll see what they do with that. I honestly was thinking that the cliffhanger we would be left on once it was pretty clear that they were doing Doomsday was Superman dying. And so I was a bit surprised that in the end he manages to hang on, and then just before they have round 2 they cut the scene. For the record, I'm with Flash. I would have been so pissed if that's how they ended this series. Oh my god. But I'm totally with X-Force here. I've got some questions about how they're going to wrap up, especially Sam's story since he was kidnapped. I know we're going to get into this, but I imagine they're going to have to just drop some exposition because the actor announced definitively that he's not returning. But I feel like they have to resolve this, even if they resolve it without showing the character, just because he's been such a major character. Yeah. Now, some of these other storylines, like the baby storyline, I mean, honestly, I'd be okay without seeing much or any of it, especially if they can just do a little bit of a flash forward at the very end for just some resolution on the series. But honestly, the other stories aren't really going much of anywhere, or they managed to kind of like wrap them up in this episode. So I'm all for tighter writing that's kind of heavy on the Kent storyline and what's going on with Lex and Doomsday. So
yeah, exactly. Well, I see you guys as 9.5s, and I'm raising you a quarter. 9.75. Better Doomsday than ever before. Yep. Better than the Batman vs. Superman movie by far, and definitely better than Smallville's giant crashing rock of fire in space, whatever their Doomsday were like. Oh my gosh. And that was the only thing I didn't like about Smallville. This is how you do Doomsday. Wow, was he awesome, and I love the twist of having him start from Bizarro. That's a new take on him for sure, and it makes sense why he's able to stand toe-to-toe with Superman and have similar abilities to start with. But holy sheesh. He looked awesome. They didn't skimp out at all on the effects. They spent plenty of time on the fight, taking it all over the dang solar system. This was the most epic battle we have ever seen on any CW superhero show. These guys just know how to make good comics-based TV. Every other show needs to follow their template. Whatever Superman Lois is doing, follow that template, because I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they manage to make it look as good as they do. It's spectacular. But as for your point, X-Force, about wrapping the stories of the other characters and what you were saying, Harley, I kind of think they don't even have to. Because I think what they gave us was enough to send them off into their own new stories that we just won't be a part of and we won't get to see on the show. Because it made sense to me, and I honestly don't think I need conclusions to a lot of them, like you were saying, Harley, especially the baby thing. We don't need babies on shows. It ruins most TV shows. We don't need to see any of that. You know, the only one I want resolution for, which you guys mentioned, was the Sam storyline. I just want to know what happened to him. And I have a little bit of speculation. We'll get into it. But my calling my shot is I think they killed him. I think Sam's dead. And that'll be a new storyline for Lois to deal with next season. But we're going to get into all of that.
Sounds good.
All right.
I'll save my thoughts for later. I think that's an interesting point. So we'll get into it.
Okay. Here we go.
All right, starting us off, let's address some of those people that won't be back as much next season.
All right.
The Cushings, Chrissy, and the Irons.
Yeah.
So, Chrissy is pregnant, and Kyle is a family man, and he is just so happy. I mean, that's just who he is, and family's so important to him, and so it makes real sense. And I liked the part where he sat down and told Lana and the girls. And, it was just interesting to me, this scene, because, one, it was surprising that Lana was so supportive of him and how she handled it. Sophie, I kind of expected, because she's happy not to be the youngest. But Sarah seemed very happy, too. So this was kind of an interesting take on it. It was different than I kind of would have thought it would have gone.
Well, there's a lot going on there. Like Sarah, I think you remember we had that scene where she went to the movies with Chrissy, and they had a lot of fun. So I think Sarah's like, my older sister is having a baby. Like I think that whole dynamic is why she's happy. Mm-hmm. Lana was interesting. Lana was very supportive and happy for him, but she also started crying, and I'm not sure what the tears were for. Tears because he's moved on and is starting a new life, or tears because he had expressed that he's like, I know you always wanted to have another one, and I'm sorry that I screwed it all up. And I wonder if that's where the tears are coming from. She really wanted to have a third kid. And, I mean, maybe she'll have one with John Henry now. I don't know, but we'll get to that part later. But so there's a lot of emotions going on there. I just feel like the show has jumped months at a time. Every episode seems to jump ahead 3-4 months. Because this seemed to happen really fast, but then when I looked at everything, looked at where the position of everybody were in their lives, it's like, I think another month or so or two have passed.
They told us that it had been 32 days since Luther got out of prison.
Yeah.
So and we know this the end of the school year, because they're talking about summer and everything. So we've progressed quite a bit, of jumps in time this season with, basically a month between each episode. If you think about the between Lois's treatment. So we definitely kind of skipped months there. So
it makes more sense then if Kyle and Chrissy have been together for a little while now, that they had an oops and
Yeah, I don't think they've been together a full year, but it's definitely been months at this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, they're the love that they're expressing for each other is like, wait a second, you guys have only been together a few weeks, for us, but it's been almost a year. So,
yeah, I agree. That does. It's a little jarring to the viewer when they make the time jumps, and some of them don't feel as organic, and I think this is one of those.
Yeah, because I mean, to go up on stage in front of the entire town and say, "This woman, I love her so much, and I'm going to ask her to marry me in front," like what? Wait a second. Oh, okay, maybe a year has gone by now. Like, holy cow, you work fast, Kyle.
A little over the top.
Yeah. But like Jeff said, he's a family man. He got a woman pregnant. He's going to do the right thing. I should marry her because I got her pregnant. Like that's a stand-up guy right there for that reason.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting. It was a short scene, but it was kind of fun of her filling in Lois and Clark on the baby as well.
That was adorable.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying really hard because I really didn't want to pick a baby scene as my favorite scene, and I didn't, spoiler alert. But these scenes were just so damn adorable. And I'm like, I cannot help but like these scenes. And I hate this as a plot point. Like, literally, if we had seen this played out, I would not have enjoyed it. But they made it likable, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cute. I mean, everybody's genuinely happy for it. Like, it seems like everybody's in support of their relationship. Nobody is going, "What are you guys thinking?" That no one's bringing up the age difference. Nobody's, thinking that it's just a one night stand or anything like that. They're all accepting of this new relationship. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and like you said, Kyle does want to make it official, and he thankfully hijacks Coach Gaines' presentation that's going off the rails and proposes to Chrissy.
Oh, yeah. That bit was a little bit over the top for me, but I don't know. I suppose they kind of had to make this whole story with the two of them actually go somewhere, because I mean, you can't just keep stringing it along. So I will not be sad if this story does not make the cut next season. In fact, I hope it doesn't make the cut next season. I would be okay with a couple of line drops, or maybe just a scene or two throughout the whole season. Be totally fine with that. I mean, honestly, I don't see Chrissy. She's not going to quit the business she owns. The baby's going to be present and there. So I'm I don't understand how they make this work as a story element. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they do a time jump at some point and they just cut Chrissy out of any major plot points, because she's on maternity leave, or she's at home with the baby, or who knows. I mean, there could be any number of reasons that she's not present, but it seemed like an odd plot point to introduce, but they had nothing else to do with these characters. So,
well, and we've got to take into consideration too that this season was filmed long before, now. It's not
ages ago.
Yeah.
It's not like they had any clue of what was going to go on with the contract negotiations and all this kind of stuff. So
they were planning ahead,
they're writing with a season 4 fully in mind. And
which includes this plot point, which I'm hoping gets cut.
Well, now that they know, they're going to have to make adjustments. I mean, they're going to have to make some big adjustments. So, yeah.
Agreed.
So, John Henry is ready to move forward with dating Lana. And, he's getting some fashion advice from Nat.
That was hilarious.
For his date. She's like, 90s Wesley Snipe.
Yeah.
She's not wrong.
But,
yeah.
But if you think about it, where is his wardrobe from? Are these the clothes he brought with him from his world, or has he gone shopping
He's
since
gone
he's
shopping.
been here, and he just doesn't know what's in style. Like, did he go to
He's had to have gone shopping, I think, which is what's so sad about it. Also so cute. I'm like, oh.
I mean, it's his style, and he didn't. It's not like he probably had Lois to help him pick out his style on his Earth. So, it's not like he
Yeah, well, Lana can fix him up. She's got a pretty good sense of that.
Yeah.
She does. Yeah, that shirt she wore to their date at the bar, man, she looked gorgeous. Holy.
Oh, she's a gorgeous person.
Yeah, she looked great. I'd go on a date with her for sure.
I think any of us would.
Yeah.
I'm straight, and I'd still go on a date with her.
Definitely.
So the complication is Sam wants John to be more involved at the D.O.D. making equipment, and one of the requirements is that he's got to be in Metropolis. And Nat's all in for this because she gets to go to the D.O.D. Academy where Mateo is enrolled, and they get to open the father-daughter steelworks shop. So it's kind of interesting. Again, that's like, how are they going to resolve this for next season too? Because I could have seen this as a cool storyline for both of them. So,
and that is something I would have liked to have seen, and that does make me a bit sad. So I know they can sort of come and go. So I don't know. Hopefully, they can maybe still give them a little bit, and the actors can hang on for their recurring spots. Mm-hmm. But on the whole, it looks like we got this one wrong. We thought the Kents would be going to Metropolis, and here it's John, Henry, and Nat. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
a little bit of a twist, not what we were expecting.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't know the outcome after the big fight, so
good point.
Who knows what happens? Like if Sam is dead and Superman gets killed by Doomsday, Lois might not want to stick around in Smallville. She might want to be like, I'm getting out of here, because she's sad, she's depressed, she doesn't want to be around there.
It's a good point.
Yeah. I don't know.
You never know. But to what you guys were saying, like the whole working at the DOD and doing all this stuff, and Natalie going there to be in the academy. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's storylines where they're branching off on their own, and like we're saying goodbye. Okay, you guys go have a good time. That's why we won't see you anymore, and it makes sense. It sucks because these two characters I think out of all the extra characters, these are the ones that I would like to see more of. John Henry, but I don't know what they're going to do. Just because they're not regulars. We brought this up last episode. Doesn't mean we're not going to see them a lot. Out of 10 episodes, they might be there for 5 or 6 episodes. They just don't have full regular status. You never know. Yeah. So it just depends what they agree to, because they all have to sign new contracts for this new season. So it just depends what they agree to.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where they could, like, if this was truly the CW like we knew it, they could have spun this into a spin-off series, like, and call it, Steel or whatever.
Could have, yeah.
Yeah, the two
Steel
of them,
works,
yeah, and that kind of stuff. So this could have served as that kind of backdoor. Season 4 was a backdoor pilot for them. So, but yeah. So who knows?
That would have been cool. I totally would have watched that. I love these two actors, and building a story around that, I'd be so there for it.
Yeah, definitely. So we do get to see Lana and John Henry enjoy their date, and this was very cool because I watched this the first time, and I was just watching it, taking it in, and then watching it the second time, I realized just how much they talked about stuff in this episode. Like, I didn't realize that this scene was split up a little bit, but like they talk about the pregnancy, they talk about John Henry's move to Metropolis, and then things get steamy. But they have a good conversation here on their date, and I missed that, honestly, in the first time. So
yeah, I enjoyed these scenes a lot, honestly. Like, I really don't hate this romance either. I mean, I'm okay with it kind of being on the chopping block for tighter writing next season. I mean, if anything should get cut, it should be romance storylines that don't really have another purpose. But I did like the two of them together, and I would have rather have seen this romance more than Kyle and Chrissy's romance.
Me too.
Yeah. You guys know my take on romances. Like, come on. But these two did have some chemistry that was growing as it went on. I think what I like with Superman and Lois is they never rushed any of the relationships. They did take their time building all of them up, so it's okay. But it was, I mean, they got along great on their date, but holy cow, when it turned steamy, there was some passion in the air for those two. Like, but have you guys noticed through 3 seasons of Superman and Lois, it's only the men that are showing some skin? Every single time. Like in this scene, John Henry, his shirt gets ripped off so you can see his abs and his chest muscles, and she's still fully clothed. It's like, and same with Tyler. Tyler, he's shown his muscles quite a few times, but not once have we seen any of the female actors show any skin. So I was like, that's a little unfair this time around. Yeah, of course you are.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I agree, but I think I have a feeling it's probably the network. I feel like the CW can't take it there because for whatever reason it is more racy for women to take their shirts off than men.
I mean, just to a tank top or a bra. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. I'm just saying it's never been. But then again, if you look at the history of TV, for how long has it been the opposite way, where the women were showing all the skin and never the men? Now we're just on the other side of it, right? So
it's just evening out. It's cool.
So I got 30 years to wait now.
Probably not. Just pick your show.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's get into the Kent storyline. So Lois and Clark have been working hard, and she's been publishing articles, and Clark and the D.O.D. have been working but can't find Lex. And here's where we get the story point of it's been 32 days since Lex got out of prison. And so we kind of get that knowledge of time passing. And so also kind of dealing with that, Sam kind of overhears this conversation with the boys, and he's really encouraging Clark to work with Jordan about preventing the anger from lingering, because like I said, it's been 32 days and you need to work on things and not let that fester. It's been a month. And so he's like, take it from me who's messed up on stuff, like, don't let this linger. So
yeah, and we had like a good montage of scenes too that kind of took us through the beginning of the episode, which was cool, all with kind of the Lois doing the voiceover for it, including like them all cleaning out their lockers. And so I felt like they did a good job of kind of setting where the time had gone to, you know what I mean? So that we kind of got that point of, hey, they're out of school, they're definitely in summer and all of that. And so that kind of like feeds a little bit more into this whole thing with Jordan and what's been going on with him and that he can't use his powers. And so I like that Sam is kind of like chatting with Clark about it, because it's really good advice, but it's just so tough. It's tough to like hear that as a parent, but it's also tough to like do as a parent, because you're trying to just like protect your kids, and like especially with teenagers, because when you're a teenager, you're very strong like within your sense of self, and even though you're still a kid, you don't feel like a kid. Like you just don't feel like a kid anymore. And it's not until like 20 years later that you're going to look back on that time and be like, wow, yeah, like I had no idea what was going on. And so like they're so impulsive.
We've all been there.
I mean, we've all been there. Like we've all lived through it. I mean, I've got kids. I am not looking forward to the teenage years at all. I have a little ways to go, thankfully, but like I'm already dreading it, and it's like 10 years in the future.
I'm just surprised that Lois hasn't backed down. Like she's been writing lots of articles. That's a risk they're taking, but I think at this point Clark isn't scared. He's like, what's Lex going to do? Like, I'm Superman. He can't do anything to me. So sure, keep on working, keep doing your stuff. I'll protect you. But they obviously didn't know what was coming. I still thought they might have taken a bit of precaution, though, just a little bit. But she was just like, nope, I'm still going. So that surprised me a little bit, and then the 32 days that passed. I mean, you're right, Harley. They did advance the show really nicely by showing us all these catch up moments, and with the montage and the voiceover and the music and stuff. It's the show is just it does the drama so well and just gets you into the moment of what they're trying to show you, and I just appreciate the show so much. I really wish the network execs would just see what they have here, this diamond in the rough, and
or that Max would just give in and say, we're taking this over.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't care where it goes, but seriously, are they really going to let this die after season 4?
Yeah, I know.
Well, here's the problem. If DC is going to follow the same track record they've had before, they got a new Superman coming. They casted their Superman and their Lois for the movies. And they don't
Super excited about the Lois.
The Superman, I'm going to have to see
Superman,
him.
I don't know who he is.
Yeah, he doesn't look it to me, so I'm going to have to see him. But what I'm saying is they've got their movie, Superman and Lois, and they never like to have TV and movies going on at the same time. So one's going to have to drop. Unless DC is changing their mind and they're going to, we can have a TV universe and we can have a movie universe.
Well,
I just don't feel like they will.
Yeah, they've talked about, like, there's the connected movie universe that the actors are going to be involved in, that kind of stuff, but then you're going to have stuff that lies outside of that. And so I think they've got to realize that, especially, with stuff going on, that there's room for more than one story. Like, you can even though they've said it's going to be a long time before they have another Batman that's in the same universe as, the other ones.
It was to say they can always fall back on the multiverse.
Right. But they're saying, like, these things are Elseworld tales. They've already said these things are Elseworld tales, like the Joker and 2 and the other stuff that lie outside that mainstream. And
the Penguin TV show that's coming.
Yeah.
Well, that one's actually
Pennyworth.
Well, yeah, and so Superman and Lois was on there.
The list goes on.
but so, like, I'm saying, there's room for those things, and it's not like they're telling the same stories.
Right.
We're at a much different point in time than where that movie is going to be. That movie is going to be much earlier in Superman's run, and so it's a different story. There's room for more, and I hope that they realize that. So.
I hope so too. I think the guy they picked to play Superman, he looks a lot like Casper Van Dien to me, and it's just the guy from the Starship Troopers movies, the lead actor there. So he's just got a similar look to that. So I'll have to see him. I mean, hair color change and buff him up, put him on the suit. We'll have to see. I won't make any judgments right now, but when I look at the images, I'm like, I think you could have done better. That was my first feeling, but.
I love the Lois casting. She's gonna kill it. I love that actress. Yes, she's Mrs. Maisel.
Okay.
I love that show.
I don't know her. I didn't know either of them. I think for me, with a lot of people, I really wanted Tyler to get to play the Superman in the movies too.
Yeah,
because he's the best. So
I love Tyler.
Yeah.
He's got great things coming for him, though. He's a good one.
Yeah. So Clark mentions the Del Portenza files at the start of this scene. And so I didn't catch that first time around. Second time around, I paused and then went and looked up the character. So Clark's saying that she took over LexCorp. So in the comics, Erica Alexandra Del Portenza took over when Lex was disgraced. And it turns out that they were she doesn't age very fast, she's lived a long time, but they were secretly married. And in the comics, she and Lex have a daughter named Lena. And so I'm wondering if this Lex, this Erica is going to be Lex's wife on the show, or at least ex-wife, and that, this daughter is going to be a version of that Lena. So it's going to be interesting. And a thing that they have to go with is the Lena in the comics was taken over by Brainiac.
Oh.
So, there's all types of storylines going on that they could introduce in season 4, and even out into season 5. So, it was a throwaway line. It could be just like, okay, we're just going to do that to satiate the real hardcore comic book nerds who know Lex's story and background, or it could be setting up stuff for season 4. We just don't know.
I think Brainiac would have to be a whole season villain on his own.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
definitely.
That would be amazing.
But that would be a way of getting Brainiac here. Is like, some Ray, she was working on Dad's stuff and called out and called Brainiac, and that's how we get Brainiac on the show. I don't know, but like I agree. Brainiac is a season villain, but it's possibilities and things that they're introducing that we may see paid off, we may not. So,
can you imagine this show handling Brainiac with how well they've done everything so far? I can only imagine what they would do with the Brainiac story.
Yeah,
It'd be cool. I'd like to see it.
I don't think we've never seen Brainiac on the TV, have we? Not
really. The Krypton show, but not that. That was like a prequel show, and so that was totally different. So, we haven't. Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention was, speaking of Tyler Hoechlin, he was on another show I watched with Miss Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff. It was called Another Life. It was her other sci-fi show that she was doing.
Oh.
And Tyler's in it with her. He's the captain of the spaceship, but he doesn't last very long. He's only in there for like 2 episodes, and then he's in a few flashbacks. But it was interesting to see him play a complete, because I only really know him as Clark Kent and Superman. I never really seen him in anything else before, and here he is as this hard as nails spaceship captain, and I was like, "Whoa, it's Tyler! Holy crap!" I almost didn't recognize him because he's playing such a different role, not just hometown, country goody kind of guy. He was a tough captain, but yeah, I mean, stuff happens and you don't last very long.
Yeah, his big thing previously was Teen Wolf.
Right. Okay.
And they filmed here in Atlanta, which is how him and I have crossed paths before.
Right.
But I don't quite. I don't quite remember. But one of my friends was posting on Facebook a while back about it, and I was like, did I play soccer with him? I don't even know. I played soccer with a lot of the Teen Wolf cast. Wow. They would just come and play for like a couple of games while they were in town filming, because it was the first like 3 or 4. The first several seasons were filmed in Atlanta, and then they moved out to LA. And then one of my buddies who I'd been playing with for years then moved out to LA. But yeah, a lot of that cast kind of crossed my path in that way. And I think Tyler did, but I think he only came for like one thing. And I don't remember if he came and played with us or if he was just hanging out.
Wasn't Colton Haynes on Teen Wolf as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Colton Haynes was, because they did like a whole revival thing. There was like a movie recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a movie.
Yeah.
On Paramount Plus. So.
There we go. Yeah. And so, and Tyler was in it. I think Colton was in it. My friend Lyndon, I think, was in it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Anyway, fun fact.
Yeah. Fun fact. What do they call it? 6 degrees of separation. So I know
a lot of the Teen Wolf people.
Yeah.
I've never watched the show. But I have a feeling if I did, I'd recognize a lot of them and be like, oh, I remember you. I had no idea who you were. You're quite famous. Good to know.
Good to know.
They probably appreciated that I didn't know that at the time. Anyway.
All right. So we get a Lois and Clark scene where Lois is ready to start reestablishing their intimacy, and they fly to Italy to use the villa.
I actually thought this was a really sweet scene. Had
It
there
was.
been more words, I would have picked it for my favorite scene. But it was a very visual one, so
Huh. It was
I
nice.
just enjoyed it.
They got good chemistry, these guys. Like you felt the romance, you felt the steam there. It's like, woo, it's getting hot in the TV room here. You know, between this scene and between Lana and John Henry, yeah, there was a lot of
Ooh, yeah.
lot of body heat happening.
Yeah.
Steamy bits, that's for sure.
That was good.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it later because it's my favorite scene, but this led them to decide to take a family vacation to Italy.
Yeah.
This was a good scene. It made me
Yeah.
chuckle.
So,
Cool.
but
We'll talk
anyway.
about that later.
Yeah.
So, in town, Coach is getting ready for this meteor shower watch party, and the Kent boys are helping them set up. And so we get some scenes there.
Let me ask, is this an annual event all of a sudden in Smallville? The meteor shower coming around? Because it seems like this is an annual event the way they were planning for it.
Are meteor showers necessarily annual? I don't know. I think there are some that occur fairly regularly, but
Yeah.
I feel like it was just probably a semi-convenient plot point to have everybody outside.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But I mean, there's.
I'm just thinking,
I don't know how
Superman
often
crashing in
meteor showers
Smallville,
are.
has that meteor shower been coming around every year for 40 years, right? Like,
I mean, possible, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe if it's not even every year, but it's like,
yeah.
on
Somewhat
a
regularly.
regular cycle. So yeah,
Yeah, maybe every couple of years or something. I don't know how often and how regular meteor showers are per se. I'd have to,
Yeah.
I'd have to
Depends
look.
where they're coming from. There's one that we go through. It's annual, and they always announce
Is
it during this week. It's the meteor season or whatever, and it's when
Yeah.
Earth's
Is it
orbit
Leonids?
happens to go through a part of the asteroid belt that got deflected or something. I don't know all the science behind it, but
okay.
Yeah.
every
Is
year
that
we go through that same spot and we get hit with a ton of meteors.
Is it the Leonids meteor shower? I don't know. Anyway,
I don't know.
continue on. I'm gonna look at meteor showers.
Yeah. All right. So Lois and Clark get news that Judge Reagan has been murdered, and they head over to Metropolis, and it's there in the shadow of the Daily Planet building, and Lois immediately knows this was Luthor. He is out to get anybody who put him in prison, and so this is like a wake up call for her that he may have been missing, but he's not missing. So
No, he's definitely very present in his actions, if you will. And I think what I like about this is I really like how they're setting everything up for the next season, especially now that we know we have the next season. So I'm really glad we got that reveal because otherwise this would have been a very tense episode.
yes.
But I think next season's going to be so good. Like, I really can't wait for it. I know we're going to have to wait a long time. What I thought was kind of interesting, though, is that Lois is she's immediately worried about Mannheim, which I was curious about. Like, do we think Luthor's going to go after him? I mean, he did technically put him in prison through Pia. Like, he was definitely involved in that frame up. So I'm trying to figure out the whole angle here. I don't think we've seen the last of Bruno, but I don't know that Luthor's gotten to him just yet.
You would think he wants to, for sure.
Mhm.
Yes. That's, I think, what struck me about the whole conversation.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, they were talking about the warden, like how he had, Lex had that warden,
Yes.
but wasn't Bruno in a D.O.D. prison? So
Don't know. Hopefully.
but
She seemed
still,
concerned.
he's got that power. It's nothing to
Yeah, I don't think
to
anything can
scoff
stop him.
at. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, but good point.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see. I mean, that'd be a neat confrontation. I mean, these two actors, what we just had with Bruno, and now we getting with Lex. I mean, the two of them facing off against each other. Whew,
Yeah.
that'd be some sparks flying.
That would
Mhm.
be good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, indeed. So, back in Smallville, Sam brings his date to meet the boys and Nat at the party. And so this was quite interesting because, like, we had heard, like, you know, about this woman before that, you know, he missed the first time. And we're like, okay, Grandpa.
I think the kids' reaction here is like so hysterical. It's almost like disbelief. They're like, "You're introducing your girlfriend. How old are you?" It really made me giggle. Like the looks on all of their faces cracked me up.
Well, I like that he gave Jordan the credit. He's like, "Oh, it's actually Jordan who got me onto the app, and that's how I met you." Like he gave him the credit. And he was proud. He's just proud. Like, look at him. I got out into the world, and I met someone pretty nice. So he's just proud.
More like the algorithm.
Yeah, what Jordan said.
Yeah, but because he said it's been years and years, right? Since it's probably a whole lot of new emotions coming up for him.
Yeah,
and if he lives and had the character signed on, he probably never would have dated again for the rest of his life after this experience.
Exactly. So we get a very cool diner scene with the Kents talking about the vacation, talking about Clark and Jordan flying them to Italy. But we also get a very important conversation with Clark and Jordan talking about his talents and the reasons behind using them. And I really like this one. It was close to being my favorite scene, so...
Oh, this was a good one. There were actually a lot of good scenes in this episode. I was having a tough time picking one, but I love this conversation. It was definitely a contender for me for sure, because like I really like how he points out that helping people should be the reason he does it, not the recognition, you know, which is what we were getting frustrated with last week. But of course, like he's a teenager, so he wants recognition. Like who doesn't? I get that. That's tough for most people to accept, let alone, you know, like a 16-year-old boy. But it is the hallmark of a true hero. You're selfless and you do things only to help other people and not because anybody recognizes you for it. So it was good conversation.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Clark is right here. You have to help people because you want to help them, not because you want to become popular. And that's where Jordan doesn't understand yet, because he's been the shy, hide in the shadows, stay in the background, nobody notices him type of guy for his entire life. So the fact that he can do something now and get acknowledged for it, it's overpowering to him. It's you know, it's like a drug to him. Like, oh my God, people can love me and they think I'm cool and they think I'm amazing. It's hard for him to not want to get that. It's a drug, really.
Yeah,
it's hard.
And it reminds you of, like, once again, when we talked about last week, of how different, you know, John in the inverse world was, because he let all that stuff go to his head and just rebelled against his parents. And so, you know, he didn't have as strong a mother. He didn't, like, his dad just didn't know how to reach him. So it's kind of good seeing a little bit more of, like, Clark reaching through and able to get through to Jordan here. So.
Yep.
So his parting thought for him is, listen, you questioning why he's being antagonistic to Sarah and how he's dealing with her, and he's like, you need to go make this right. And he kind of sends him over there to do that. And this was, for me, I wanted to see it, but I think maybe we should have seen a little bit more of this conversation throughout the season between him and his dad, because it felt like we've got to pack everything into this episode, because Clark's not going to be around because he's going to maybe die. So we've got to get him talking about his powers so he can, like, but his key to his really getting to the root of the problem is, like, why he's, like, angry with Sarah. Like, so let's all shove it into this one scene, where I wish they kind of would have spread this out over a couple episodes of him and how he's dealing with Sarah. But I appreciate that they're dealing with it, but I don't know. It seems a little tight in that let's address all these issues at once, but I don't know.
No, I think that's a good point. I hadn't quite thought of it that way, but you're right. They do try to pack it all in, almost into the same scene on top of it. But I mean, for what they did, I thought that it worked very well. I'm really glad they finally found a way to kind of patch things up, maybe get rid of this drama between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I hope this is a storyline on the chopping block for next season. I don't need to revisit this again. I just don't care. I'm fine with them staying apart, but I don't want to do the whole will they, won't they, or I'm going to make your life miserable because I'm pissed at you for breaking up with me kind of drama. Like, I just don't want to watch that anymore. So, like, I'm fine with that.
I think one of these things is like, if you're going to do at the end of the season, end of the series, you do a flash forward of like, now that they're both mature adults, they get together and, they realize, now is the time. They've grown, they've changed, whatever. But this leaves it on that footing. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'm fine with, if we don't get to see that interaction. So,
yeah. If there's a storyline that I am more tired of than any other, it's the whiny Jordan stuff. I'm so done with it. Like, all season long, are you kidding me? Come on. So, yeah, I don't care if they're done with that. I'm just glad they dealt with it here. And I don't know. You guys are saying there's a lot jammed in there. I think it kind of flowed really well. I mean, it starts with teaching him a lesson about your powers and why you need to use them for the right reasons, and then it transitioned into probably why you're struggling with all of this is because you haven't dealt with what's going on with you and Sarah. So go fix that, and then we can move on with your training and your powers and using them properly. I think it all gelled together really nice for me anyway. It just kind of made sense. It was Clark was just kind of like hitting him from all angles, but from not a tough dad, from I know what's going on, I understand, so go do this, get these things done, take it from my experience. I've been there. I know what you're going through, and I liked it. I don't know. I thought that was good parenting that time.
No, I agree. I mean, the scenes are phenomenal. Like, regardless, I thought it was incredibly well done.
Yeah. So, okay. So, closing out this section, Gretchen distracts Sam, gets him to the alley.
Woo, steam again.
I know, and she's all about it, and he's like, and then in comes Otis, and she tasers him, and they take him to Luther. So, so then we realize, because Nat's been trying to get in contact with him, and they realize he's been kidnapped. So, yeah, not good.
Wow. No, I was just starting to get a bad feeling about her too. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is odd. This is weird. Like, she's putting him in an alley. She's being very...
You're just moving a little quick.
It felt intentional is what it felt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, of course, then she knocks him out, so we get the payoff. And I was like, oh! Dang it.
It surprised me. I didn't see it coming at all. I just thought, wow, he's met a really aggressive woman. Holy, I guess that's some pent-up passion there. You gotta...
She knows what she wants.
Yeah. Hey, when you get to that age...
I mean, more power to her.
Yeah. No, there's no wasting time when you get to a certain age. Stuff's gotta happen fast. No fooling around.
No.
Right? So...
We don't have time for that. Just get it done. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need small talk. Don't need pillow talk. No foreplay.
Well, I don't know about that, but anyway.
But still, it surprised me. I thought she was legitimately going to be something good for him, and I pulled the wool over my eyes. I had no idea. I had no guesses she was going to be worth Lex. Yeah, didn't see it.
Oh no, that blindsided me completely.
Yeah, me too.
100%.
Yeah.
All right, so now we get into some exciting stuff because we've got the villains, and we've got more than one now. So Lex has taken out Sam. That's line one, the D.O.D. of defense against Lois. And then he's going after Superman. And so we get the flashback to last episode and find out Otis does survive the encounter with Bizarro. just minus an ear.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, less brutal than it could have been, but man.
Yeah, especially with the ear just flops.
I know. I was like,
oh. But Lex discovers that Bizarro is like reviving, and so basically Lex is spending a month killing Bizarro over and over in different ways. He's using XK weapons, whether they're coated with stuff or they're bullets or bazooka shells.
Jeez.
And every time he revives and has defenses built up. And so, but the interesting thing is Lex asked him at the beginning if he wants this. And he says yes. And I'm like, okay, does he have somewhat of a memory of what was done to him when he was killed before? And I mean, what's the driving factor of him not wanting to die? I mean, I don't know. That's a question I had.
Well, I mean, I think it's just basic nature. If you think about every single creature on this planet doesn't want to die. Nobody, not a person, not an animal. You're alive to survive. And I think he's been reduced to more animalistic behaviors. He's not the Superman from the other Earth anymore. I think him coming back to life, he's lost a lot, and it's just more instinct now, and more, I said, more animal behavior. So I think even though he understands when Lex is talking to him, I don't think he's processing it a lot. He just understands, not die, kill me, get stronger. It's very basic what he's thinking. And where I have questions, not even maybe questions, but it just blows me away. Again, props to the show, to the writers, because they fooled us once with thinking it was Doomsday, and it wasn't Doomsday, it was Bizarro, and now they reversed it and made Bizarro become Doomsday. And it's still something that we never ever saw coming. Nobody guessed. I know Carrie, you get, when you saw this happening, he figured it out. But before that, nobody ever guessed that they would turn Bizarro into Doomsday. That's never been done before in any storyline, on any movie, show, or comic book. It's never been done before, connecting these two characters to become one. And it's a fabulous idea. Why not? I mean, it's like I said in my opening, that Bizarro has similar abilities to Superman. He's identical. So when you start with that as your base, you're already virtually indestructible. And now you just start killing him over and over again so that he builds on that defense. I mean, it's a perfect concoction to build a character and a creature that can kill Superman, because you're not supposed to be able to. Superman is the ultimate of all superheroes. You can't stop him. This is how you build something that can, and I love it. I was so blown away. I was so fascinated with this creativity, this choice that they made to turn Bizarro into Doomsday. And the Doomsday, it's the best one we've ever seen. This is exactly what he looks like from the cartoons and stuff when you see him. This is how Doomsday should look, and I was blown away. Not like we saw in the Batman vs Superman movie where he's 50 stories tall. Come on, that's not this was perfect.
No, I agree. I mean, I think this whole thing was wild. The entire sequence of him killing him over and over again. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just, it was kind of getting hard to watch at some points, but it was it was very good. I like that it was a different take on the way Doomsday was born. I also agree that this looked very, very good, and to me, very, very close to the comic book Doomsday. Very, very close. I mean, down to the spikes, and then he grabs the spikes out at the very end, and I was like, yes, we are here. I am so here for this. This is being done so well. I hate that it results in the death of Superman storyline, but I also know, what comes after that. So I'm kind of okay with it, even though I know it'll be heart-wrenching, I'm sure. The one thing that I did notice during these scenes, and I paused it, and I, for the life of me, could not make it out. There is something tattooed on the back of Bizarro's neck, and I was wondering what it was.
Yeah, I couldn't. I saw a screenshot of that too, and I don't know if like you would have to flip it because it was backwards, or
right.
I don't know, but I couldn't make it out either. So
I saw it and I had no idea what it was because I don't know if we ever saw that before. I don't think that was there before. So not that we've seen Bizarro's back of his head much, but I don't know.
Yeah. So it stood out to me as odd. And
it
possibly,
means something because they showed it to us. So
yeah,
exactly. They lingered too long for it to not mean something, but I couldn't figure it out.
But I'm also with you too, Harley. Like when Lex was killing him over and over again, like you couldn't help but feel for Bizarro. Like that, those were not easy ways to die. That was extreme pain that he was suffering every single time, and even when he reawoke, it seemed like it hurt him to come back to life too.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just, and I think this was just making like all of this pain and his dying and rebirth. It was just making him angrier and angrier. So that just added to everything. Now he's just pure monster. There's nothing left of whatever Superman from the other world was there. That's all gone.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And so Superman arrives at the farm and Lex is there, and then we get this confrontation between the two of them, and he says Sam's can't help Lois now, and Superman, you're not going to be able to, basically. And so he, the thought is like he's going after Lois now because he's got Doomsday handling Superman. So he's like, it's like, bring me his heart, and he just drives off. So he's on his way to go after Lois.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Actually,
Scary.
I didn't think of that until just now. Let's get another cliffhanger that we were left on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because who's going to protect her? I mean, like maybe
Exactly.
John Henry
That's
can
the
still
point.
be there, but
I mean, he doesn't know about Jordan, to be fair.
that's true.
So
Yeah,
she has
Jordan
an
could
ace in her pocket there.
Yeah.
John Henry also, I don't know if he knows it. I mean, you have to assume he knows an awful lot, so he might have known about John Henry and Natalie, but I for sure don't think he knows about Jordan.
No. So that's going to surprise him. Jordan, because if you go back to the conversation, Lois and Clark kind of gave him the okay to use his powers again as long as he's responsible with it, and they're starting him on the track to using them again. So I think this is going to come to the moment where, Lois's life is on the line. Jordan has to step in.
Yeah, I think when push comes to shove, if he threatens Lois, he'll step in, and I don't think anybody's going to say anything about it.
Yeah.
It was interesting because I don't know if you have it in the notes here. When Superman was fighting Doomsday, Jordan went to help him. Lois wanted to go help him. He turns to him. He says, "No,
He does.
stay here." He didn't want them anywhere near that fight.
Yeah. I mean, I think John Henry was there as well. So it's like everybody.
Yeah.
So could they have helped him fight this creature?
I don't think so. Doomsday is unique. It doesn't matter what they do, whatever they use to kill him.
No.
He's only going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
So there was only one way to get rid of him in the comics. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing.
I loved when Superman pierced him on the top of that building, on that tower. Man,
Oh yeah, a small victory.
Yeah.
brutal. But it was from far away too. He just looked in the distance. He's like, yeah, and throws him right onto it. It's like, holy, good shot.
And then he just wakes up and breaks it off, and
Yeah.
And the music that they play during that scene, I was like, perfection.
all the
So
rock
good.
and roll, everything. I mean,
yeah.
this fight, how long? That fight went on for a good 10-15 minutes of the episode. It was insane.
Yeah.
Like, where are they getting the budget for this show? Why does this show look so good compared to all the others? And you're Superman versus Doomsday on a TV show. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Max didn't just say, "We'll take it."
Yeah.
It's got to be their budget, right? Isn't there like a joint thing between them?
Yeah, they've got the streaming rights, so they're paying. So, but I don't know, but
everything, even the sound of Doomsday, his growling and his monster sounds, like, God, can you imagine running into that thing in the dark alley? You just crawl up in the fetal position and cry. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Superman goes through a lot of different things in fighting him, and I'm like, why are you like? My thought is throw him in the sun. Like, that's my thought. Like, throw him in the sun. Like,
or let him sink to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
That bothered me. Sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, like, why? Yeah, good point. Why did he pull him out of the ocean? Like,
I mean, I guess in theory he would have melted and flown back out, but that would have taken him a good bit. I don't know. Anyway, it did bother me.
He took him to space. I mean, where else can you kill something? Space seems like a good option.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, I appreciated at the beginning of their battle that Clark recognized who it was. I mean, he's still got the logo kind of on his chest, but he's trying to reason with him before the battle even starts, and that version of Clark is gone out of the building, and so like he knows not to hold back, especially after he basically kills him. Knocks Superman out. Jordan can't hear his dad's heartbeat, and then you kind of get the scene of Lois yelling out and everybody yelling out, and between that and the sun's rays, we kind of get Superman revived, and then they start on this round 2 that we leave off on the moon, but like, he's not going to be at full strength because like, ugh.
I love that collage too, as he's knocked out down for the count, like you said, and he's getting all of these images in his mind that he has to fight to wake up, he has to fight to live, he has to survive, because if he doesn't, this creature's going to get everything that he loves, and that's what brings him back. And like you said, plus he's out in space where the sun's rays are the strongest, there's no atmosphere protecting or blocking them or anything, so he can absorb it even more, and that strengthens him enough to get back in the fight. And I mean, again, with this show, they take the fight to the moon. Like, how did they do that? Was that all CGI? Because there's some pretty good scenes close up that still look like Tyler and not CGI Tyler. I mean, it's just amazing what they did. They're fighting on the moon. This TV show must have won the lottery or something, because it's just it blew me away. My jaw was on the floor. I'm in awe of what this show continues to do with the Superman effects, and I love it. I don't care about James Gunn. I don't need another Superman movie. Let's just get 10 seasons of the show. That's enough Superman for me. I don't need Superman Legacy. This is what I want. This show is doing Superman perfectly. Who cares about the new movie? I don't care.
I know. I know. I'm really hoping that there's some twist and season 4 doesn't have to be the final season, but
yeah,
I'm hoping the writers don't bank on that, because if they end on another cliffhanger, I'll be pissed. But if this had ended, I would have been so mad. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
God. They better get enough advance notice so they can write a proper ending for season 4, or get an early renewal, and they can, like, all right, we know we're coming back for season 5, now we can write a story.
Yeah.
Give them that notice.
I know. I'll be really sad if this does have to end after 4 seasons, because I do think it had more to give.
Yeah.
Way more. I mean, look what Flash did for 9 seasons. Come on. This show is leaps and bounds better. It deserves 10 seasons.
That's kind of my point.
Yeah, definitely. Keep us in the podcasting game for a lot longer.
Well, yeah, that too. But I mean, Superman's got way higher numbers. Like, it's
it's a good show.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's the best one they've done. It really it's rivaling Arrow for the best of all of them. It really is.
It's a good one.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. People, like, I think DC needs to realize that there is space in their universe, just like in the comics. There's space for different types of storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, you can have the super light stuff, and then you can have, like, Justice League Dark, where you've got Constantine, you've got Swamp Thing, and you've got Zatanna, and you've got those darker characters. And then you've got, like, lighter versions of a character and darker versions. Like, and, you know, that's the thing, like, you know, there needs to be a spot in there for stuff like lighter stuff that you can see with the entire family, but stuff that appeals to older. Like, there needs to be a big universe. And you don't have to, like, you know, you can have, like, this here and you can have this over here. Just don't, like, handicap this, because I think that's the big deal is, like, a lot of stuff we got in the Arrowverse, we got because, like, well, we're not going to give them movies. So you can use this character and, you know, you can go with it. And, like, Arrow was the CW's Batman. Like, you know, they got better at it, but
I'm Batman.
yeah, but I think that they need to realize that you need something stable. You can have the movies, but you need TV as well, and you need a variety of stuff. So you can have more than one person playing a character. You have a multiverse. Use it. So, like, yeah. Anyway.
Well,
Get off my soapbox.
You can tell a story over 10 to 20 episodes instead of a 2-hour movie. It's just way easier to flesh something out. Like, you get
more time. You can do more with it. You can, like, you can actually flesh it out. I mean, writing a movie is crazy. What they have to take you through in usually a couple of hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. But then when you think you have, like, a TV season, which used to be 22 episodes, which 22 times 42, I'm not that good at math, but, you know, that's a lot more hours that you can really expand something. And even though, like, TV is trending towards shorter seasons, that's still, like, 10 times the amount of a normal movie. So you get to tell a lot more and flesh it out, and you get to maybe be a slightly slower burn, but depending on the content, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell good and tight stories, and it's
15 hours,
great.
Harley.
Thank you.
Yeah, so like I said, you know, I'm hopeful that he's going to realize that, you know, okay, let's give them this sandbox. I mean, he said before all this started that, you know, it's a good series and that they were going to get a couple more seasons, so the fans like it. So
yeah, but here's the thing. I think where the trouble with the execs in the studios, they figure, if we could just make the next big hit movie, we can make $1 billion off of it, because that's the big number to reach now. Is if you can make $1 billion, you're a huge success. The problem is DC movies aren't doing that well. And they need to realize we keep failing. Look at Flash. Flash is a complete bomb. It's the worst box office bomb in their history. And it's unfortunate because Flash is actually really good. But DC ain't doing so well in the movies. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see them. So why don't you stick to TV where you're having some success and you can continue making money off of it by pumping out these shows? The writing's on the wall. Like, your movie franchise is done. It's not working. Take a break.
I think, you know, this is dive into DC territory, but I saw the preview for Blue Beetle.
Oh,
and
God, it looks good.
Yeah, and that's new ground. Like, they've said that's, you know, the first part of the new wave. But it's a character that's new to a lot of people. It's like you've got built-in stuff like there. I think they've got to realize they can do movies that don't necessarily have to be enormous blockbusters, and they can do good quality TV shows, and they can do the blockbusters. But if you got no income coming in because you're scrapping everything TV-wise,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
Well, and the other big problem, and I was reading an article about why DC is failing, and it completely makes sense. Flash did it. They've all done it, is every single DC movie has been about a cataclysmic world-ending event. They have not spent the time to have a nice local story about the hero struggling with its own personal problems and solve something locally in its own city, in their own town, or a personal villain that's out to get them and them only, which is what Marvel has done. DC just immediately went to universe-ending, world-collapsing, whatever, and it's too much. It's too much for us to believe it, to buy into it, because it's just too big. And you gotta take a bunch of steps back and build from the bottom up, build a base of these heroes saving their town, saving their families, fighting off against a personal villain that they wronged when they were younger or something. Make it personal, grounded stories that we can all relate to, and then you might grow an audience. And looking at the Blue Beetle looks like it might be finally taking that formula and running with it.
Mm-hmm.
When I see the Blue Beetle trailer, I've seen it a few times, I cannot help, it looks like DC's Spider-Man. It's their version of Spider-Man. The character's the same, the humor, the talking, the same style of fighting and all. It looks like it's DC's attempt at getting their own Spider-Man, which could be a hit.
Yeah. All right.
Let's take a break for some ads, because the ads have been doing really well lately. I don't know if you guys are getting them, but I'm getting a ton of ads when I'm listening now. Like I've got up to 5 or 6 on a couple episodes. It's crazy.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know. But let's get to our ad break. Video watchers, you're waiting for the ads to stop because you don't get any. We're going to go into favorite scenes.
Shape out an eagle!
Let's get to our favorite scenes. X-Force, you are up first.
All right. I called this one Going on Vacation, so let's take a listen to this short scene.
Come on, we're gonna be late. All right. No, not going anywhere yet. We have something we want to talk to you guys about. Oh, crap. This cannot be good. Yeah, you know what? It's not good. It's not. It's great. We're taking a family trip.
To Italy.
Ha-ha! Are you serious?
Your Uncle Tao has a villa there that no one's using. We thought it'd be the perfect place for us.
Wait, how do you even know about that?
The
His
D.O.D.
lawyer told us
found it.
about it. Lawyers at the D.O.D. Look, it's been a tough year, okay? With your mom's cancer and everything going on with Bruno and Luther.
Your dad and I thought it'd be good to just get away as a family, take a break, spend some time reconnecting.
Feels like you guys are trying to bribe us to hang out.
Yeah. And it's working.
Okay, so we can talk about it more at dinner tonight?
Vicky Mays, 6 o'clock. Don't be late. Go.
I'm excited.
Me too. They're not wrong about us bribing them, though.
I love it. You know, it's a short scene, but it's good to have this family scene here in the midst of everything and just them focusing on being a family and making those plans. I really appreciate it. So it was goofy fun.
There is something special about Tyler and Bitsy and even the two boys now. It just feels like they are actually a family. Like they feel like a real mom and dad, like a real married couple. It's completely, fooling me that we're just watching a TV show like the Kardashians, only this is the Kents. Like, it's a family. We're watching a family. They're so good at it.
Yeah,
They are. I agree. I loved this scene. It made me giggle a couple of times. It was so good.
You're next, Charlie.
All right. Well, I called this one The History We Share.
Watch my magic fingers reach for the clip.
I didn't know how to react. A baby already?
I mean, that's gotta be tough for you.
I mean, I am happy for them. Truly. I honestly think Kyle and I, we're better as friends than we were as a couple. Sometimes I felt like we were together because of the history we shared. That was the hardest part, actually, about signing the divorce papers, was saying goodbye to that history.
I know what that's like.
Here, is to a new history.
So, about that, Sam stopped by this morning, offered me the opportunity to create more tech for the D.O.D.
I thought that's what you do.
It is. But this will be more official, full scale, some own company, even.
Hey, that's amazing, John.
Yeah, it is. But Nat and I would need to relocate to Metropolis.
Soon?
And I'm sorry, Mom. If I would have known about this yesterday, just wanted to be upfront about it.
You don't have to apologize. And for the record, I'm glad you asked me out.
So am I.
I really like this scene. I felt like it was nice to finally get some insight here about why Lana hesitated about signing the divorce papers, because I know that was a big question for me earlier in the season. And honestly, like, I really love her outlook here. I mean, I like that she's ready to make a new history, even if John Henry is relocating to Metropolis. I don't know. Maybe they can still work something out. I do really like the two of them together. This is the romance I would have preferred to see.
I mean, I don't see why they couldn't work it out. I mean, make something work. It's not, I mean, we've seen that Metropolis isn't that far from Smallville, it seems. So why couldn't they, travel a little bit? Maybe, I guess she's the mayor, so she wouldn't really leave Smallville, but he has a super suit. He could fly to her in a few seconds anyway.
That's a good point.
John, I need you. I'll be right there. All right, we're going to wrap it up with one I'm calling Doom is Coming. I mix two scenes together because it just kind of gels really well. So you'll hear what it is.
I told you, every time you die, it just makes you stronger. This is a gift. A wonderful gift. If you let me help you. Can I kill you? Again and again? Let me kill you. So nothing in this world can stop you. Ever. Nothing. Do you want that? Do you? There you are.
I won't let you hurt Lois. Or her family.
They're not who you should be worried about.
Where's General Lane?
I told Lois I was innocent. That the case was built on a lie.
There's no way she could have known.
I told her. She knew. I went to her, and I told her. But Lois didn't listen because she didn't have to. Not with you and Lane protecting her.
You're not a martyr.
And you're not a hero. You're a fool with a cape. A lapdog in tights.
Where is General Lane?
You ever think about dying, Superman? Because you're about to.
Whoa. Look at that. I mean, I said it last episode. Lex has the biggest you-know-whats. He is not scared of Superman at all. Even before he had Doomsday in his pocket, he just... It just blows me away the courage, the bravery, the fearlessness that he has in the face of Superman, and just threatening him and calling him, "You're a fool in tights." Like, you're insulting Superman. Like, you're lucky he doesn't have an anger issue, because you would have been pile drived into the center of the earth at that moment. Like, it's just, oh my gosh, just the buildup of that moment. And then he's like, "Have you ever thought about dying, Superman? Because you're about to." Boom! Enters, like, I think all of us were probably not breathing in these moments. Like, just, you forgot to take a breath because you can't believe what we're watching.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Oh, good.
Such good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you guys would like to support the show, and we really appreciate those that are still doing it, and we'll hopefully continue to do it during our hiatus. We're going to try to bring you as much extra content as we can, just to make it worthwhile for you guys, and so that we're not gone too long and you guys, forget about us. We don't want that happening ever. But this is how you can support the show.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
I didn't have a good Doom sounding clip for that. I got to come up with one that's scary. Yeah, like something, I don't know. Well, I'll have to ask Dan to do one.
Like heavy metal.
Yeah, like just freaky. Let's kick it off with feedback with an email from Comic Geek Kev.
Well, here we are, legends. I guess we know what they meant about there being a cliffhanger if we didn't get a season 4.
Oh my gosh, eh?
What an episode. Please tell me this was a plan from the beginning of last season. We were bamboozled thinking that we were getting Doomsday, who turned out to be Bizarro, who was finally transformed into Doomsday by Lex Luthor. I mean, come on.
Crazy.
Let's just get this out of the way. The Doomzarro CGI was not as good as the effects usually are for the show, but they've set the bar pretty high. However, some of the scenes were better than others. The slow-mo subway punch was pretty nice. Don't get me wrong, the action scenes were great. Just Doomzarro looked a little off at times. Anyway, I guess there was a whole complete episode to discuss, huh? The opening monologues are one of my favorite parts about this show. I'd love to see each of the Kents take a run at them, but Lois is the wordsmith. However, let's not forget, as the show sometimes does, that Clark is also a writer/reporter. Good point. Clark and Lois. I love these two as a couple. The actors have incredible chemistry. Imagine being able to just fly off to Italy on zero notice for a romantic getaway.
Heck yeah.
The boys. Not much happened for John this week, so I feel the John Clark/Kyle thing last week was just filler. And are we seemingly dropping Jordan's annoying attitude already?
Already? Are you kidding me? 13 episodes of it. Come on.
I guess it can be picked up again next season, whenever that is. But I have to assume that whatever happens with Superman, there's going to be some fallout from that battle and the continuing problems with Luthor. And if Sarah isn't going to be a regular part of the show, ... feels like that plot line might be dropped. Kyle and Chrissy. I like the characters. I've gotten used to them being together, but having a kid so soon seems forced. Yes, I know in quote-unquote Showtime, they've been together for a while. But bringing kids into these shows always results in random comments to let us know that they exist. See The Flash. And serve no real purpose.
Fear not, we probably won't see them much.
Yeah. Lana and John Henry. I didn't want them to be together. Then I didn't mind the idea. Now he's leaving. But if the Irons are heading for Metropolis, and Sam is going to be gone, that might put a kink in the idea that the Kent family is going to Metropolis. Although, if it's true that Sam isn't coming back at all, could be he was killed off-screen by Lex. So many thoughts. Natalie. Not a lot happened for Natalie on her own. Nice to see her, I guess. It was cool to hear Sam, who we will apparently never see again, refer to her as his granddaughter. Watching Lex put Bizarro through his evolution was crazy. In the comics, it took Doomsday years of death and cloning to become who he was. As soon as I heard Lex say that he died and came back stronger, I knew where it was going. And once those spikes went in him, that sealed the Doomsday deal.
Yep.
Anyway, I've got a lot of thoughts, but it's too much to write with the time I have. We wait for the next season. The wait for the next season is going to be torture.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I give this episode 9.9 out of 10 bitter billionaires with too much time on their hands. I'm also going to give it 10 out of 10 close calls. It would have been awful if it had been a series ender. Until, well, whenever you folks end up doing next, I'll be there. Comic Geek Hev.
We know you will be. You've been a nice staple of a feedbacker for us, for sure.
Indeed.
Yeah, I agree with him. Way back to the beginning of his email, I think it would be nice for Clark to have an opening monologue. Tyler I don't think he's ever done any of them. It'd be really nice to just hear him speak as either Clark or Superman, expressing how he feels and how he thinks about what's going on in the show. That would be really cool.
Yeah, if he has, it's been a while. I mean, maybe season 1? Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, Harley, read Ken from Chicago.
All right. Hey, Legend Squad, you saved this city, or at least this small town. This is Ken from Chicago, and I give the season 3 finale of Superman and Lois 5 out of 5 deaths you just walk it off. Once again, I bring good news. The good. Yes, they use their words. Clark and Lois not just yelling at kids, but explaining the reason for doing this, especially since they are teens, half through high school, have finished sophomore year, they are 16, 2 years from emancipation in Kansas, almost legal adulthood. Jordan and Sarah, even if it's the realization they can't be friends right now, the thing everyone who has ever dumped said at the start of the season. John and Nat, tensions have eased. Kyle and Lana, friendly divorcees, seem so British, but at least avoiding unnecessary secrets and drama of Chrissy and Kyle's baby. Logical. Sam is old school with romance. He hasn't learned to Google potential romantic partners yet. So, of course, the con worked. Year 3 and another major faux fake-out. Year 1, Captain Luthor was Steel. Year 2, Doomsday was Bizarro. Year 3, Bizarro is Doomsday. Coach remembers John costing the school a winning season. Continuity for the win.
Yeah.
Otis and Sophie live. Maybe we will get Miss Tessmacher. Romance re-sparked. All too often, Hollywood only portrays marriage as dull, and married people can only be romantic if they are cheating. Also nice of the show writers to spotlight the return of the intimacy after dealing with cancer and double mastectomies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, but even so, I have issues.
Uh-oh.
The bad. Well, more like one issue. Soups, you gotta learn to use ranged attacks. Yeah, you love melee attacks, if only so you can pull your punches, but sometimes that's getting you in close when you should have the reach on someone. Heat vision, freeze breath, sonic clap, light pull. Throwing boulders sometimes keep your distance. And with that settled, I have questions unsettled.
It's a good point, though.
The what? It is a good point. Yeah. The what? Where was Mateo? Was the show deliberately referencing Man of Steel's infamous Pa Kent tells Clark don't try and save him from the hurricane, with Superman keeping Jordan from helping with Doomsday? Will they do the death of Superman and the reign of the Superman storylines?
Jeez.
I think definitely they're going to do the death of Superman, but anyway. How much would your billionaire boss have to pay you to keep working if your ear was bitten clean off? Or Otis. Fantastic season of Superman and Lois, as well as Martin, Jess, and Jeff. Great job, everyone.
Good stuff.
Oh, thanks, Ken.
Hey, Ken.
It's been good to
Awesome.
have you with us this season. So good thoughts for sure.
As always.
The death of Superman, like I wonder if they're going to go there, because we only have 10 episodes. They cannot waste time by killing him, and then we got to wait 3 or 4 weeks to not even have Tyler on our show before getting him back, unless they write some crazy story where he dies, he's gone for one episode, and he comes back the very next one, and they rush that story along. Or, since they just turned Bizarro into Doomsday, and we've never had that before, maybe Superman doesn't die this time. Maybe it's a different idea or a different version of the story.
I know, but it's Doomsday, which always means the death of Superman. And I know I'm being a little rigid in that, but it just always does. So I don't know. That's where my money is that they're going, but you all have valid points, so we'll see.
I just don't know how you do that in 10 episodes.
Yeah, but like you kill him, toss him out into space, and then he comes back in season 10.
I mean, Doomsday doesn't ever really die. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do a time jump. They could kill him, and then, 6 months later, 1 year later, they figure out a way to revive him, and we get that story. I guess they could do it that way, but I don't know. I trust the writers. I don't care. I trust these guys.
I do. I think it'll be a good story either way. So we'll see.
But the cliffhanger they left us on, are you kidding me?
I know.
On the moon, with about to hit each other. Come on.
Oh my God.
All right, let's see what Dad L has to say.
Hello, Super Fam. It's Dad L here with my thoughts on the season finale of Superman and Lois. I have to say I have mixed feelings about it, and I'll get into that here. I thought there was a lot of necessary character setup for the departures that are coming. So much of the episode was focused on this. There were stretches where I just kind of lost interest, and I know this is necessary given what's going on with the actors and the budget and the shortened season next year, but there was just a lot of setup, and it really took away from the episode for me. I do think General Lane is a goner. I feel like he has to meet his sad end for us to see Lex as a threat they are making him out to be, and so unfortunately I think that's what's going to happen. There has to be some real consequences of all that's happened and Lex getting out and him being the ruthless villain that he is. And the creation of Doomsday, oh man, that was, I kind of look away during that part. That was very twisted. Luther's actually a monster himself. And I did struggle a little bit with Doomsday. The thing that got me into reading comics was the Death of Superman story arc. So I have a fond affinity for that arc and Doomsday. And, I kept reading comics from there, and, Doomsday, spoiler alert, he kept coming back. He wasn't a one-and-done villain, and there was a lot of depth to his story. And I just feel like Doomsday is really done right, and they did kind of the same version that was in the Snyderverse. They copied the idea of Lex creating Doomsday. Of course, in the movie, it was from Zod. Here is from Bizarro Superman. So I struggle with that a little bit. Actually, Krypton, the sci-fi prequel show, did a fairly good job with Doomsday. But so I really did struggle with Doomsday here. Are they going to kill Superman. If you bring in Doomsday, that's the immediate thought, but how do they do that with a shortened 10-episode season next year? I just don't think you can do it justice. So I kind of see where they're coming from with bringing Doomsday in, but honestly, I'm still on the fence on this finale, and I really don't think I can give a complete judgment on it since it ended on a major cliffhanger. I really need to see the resolution. I need to see how this plays out, next season to really give a rating to complete my thoughts on it. So it's kind of unusual feedback for me on this episode. As far as the season, I really thought this was probably the best season of the show yet. We had great villains, great action, great drama. So my episode rating is to be determined. I'm going to give the season 9 yellow suns. Dad-El, last father of Krypton.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Surprising and unfortunate. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but I find it hard to agree with your reasoning into not enjoying this one. But hey, you're a Superman fan and you love the comic book stories, so I don't know. What do you do? What do you do? Hopefully they resolve it in a way that you'll be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to Dreamweaver to wrap things up as she often does, and it's a finale. So way to go, Dreamweaver. Get in for the finale. Here she is.
Hello, Super Fam. Dreamweaver here. Long time no here. I've been behind on episodes, both show and podcast, but I made sure to catch up in time for the finale, especially since I'm going on vacation and won't have my recording materials with me next week. So just a few notes on a few things in some of the last few episodes before I hop into talking about this finale. Pia and Bruno had a very good run as villains this season, with depth and reasoning behind their actions and motivations, and also their actions setting up Lex Luthor to come into play, and a good reason as to why he's been out of play for so long in this version of Superman's world. Pia had a brilliant but heartbreaking swan song for a villain, with Superman needing to save her and take her up into the sky. It was really, really well done. As all of you said, sad to see her go. And Lex, man, he's only been in 2 episodes, and in one of them it was all flashbacks and him walking to Smallville, but they did a great job at introducing this very grizzled and ruthless version of Lex, and how much of a grudge he can hold. This Lex shows no fear, no pain, and even though it's not typical of the show, and I know you all said it, but I love that he gets heavy metal music as his theme. Very cool. I really liked Michael Cudlitz and Chad Coleman on The Walking Dead, and they both have been great here so far as Superman villains. I just wish that they would have been able to share the screen for at least one scene, but if they did, Bruno probably wouldn't have made it out. Now, I'm usually the one to defend the teenagers and their sometimes slightly annoying behavior, because they are teenagers after all, and figuring things out, I understand that. But this finale and the past few episodes, Jordan has been annoying the crap out of me. Him stopping for photos after the tornado. What are you doing? I understand anxiety and depression and the need to feel seen and important at times that comes from that. I have both. But come on. The stakes of the safety and visibility risks have been pointed out to him numerous times. I just really haven't liked that. I don't know where they're going to be going with that arc in this next season. I also don't love how much flack Jonathan has been getting from a bunch of the adults in his life. Kyle treating him differently at the fire station, then telling him he shouldn't have talked to his dad about what goes on at work. It's never a good sign. We know Kyle enough that he probably didn't mean it in that exact way, and he maybe just didn't like getting a talking to from Superman. But the way he said that made many alarms go off in my head. And then his coach here in this finale was being a huge jerk to him too. We know that John shut down the football season with the XK incidents, but he's very clearly trying to work back the trust and putting that time in, and the coach is just not being a mature adult about it. Nothing else I can say there. Okay, now moving on to the finale. And wow, I think a few of us were definitely expecting Doomsday to be coming. They were dropping a few hints and teasers throughout, and Mannheim had left Bizarro behind and somewhat alive, not to mention that the title of this episode was called What Kills You Only Makes You Stronger, which is kind of a big call to Doomsday's thing. But man, they did it, and I don't know how many minutes that fight scene at the end was, but he's been on the scene for probably like 20 minutes, and it was epic. Like Lex right away spends a month killing Bizarro, over and over to build him into Doomsday. But he still remains, it seems, some sense of loyalty and control, or at least understanding, because Lex talks to him and is actually able to control him. I don't think we've ever gotten a Doomsday that could be controlled or somewhat reasoned with in this way. And I dig the horror vibes we got out of that scene with Bizarro just holed up in the destroyed basement and subway car. I thought for sure Otis was a goner, but no, just his ear. If you think about it, Bizarro World Superman has had a very sad arc. A hero in his world, but a not-so-great father and husband, then addicted to kryptonite and basically shunned by his entire Earth. He follows Allie to the other world to try to prove himself and be better, but then he gets killed, and then he gets brought back to life as a shell of himself. Does he have his memories? Is he just feral? Kind of hard to say, but he's got at least some sense of, cognizance up there. And then he gets killed, over and over, non-stop, for a month, until he becomes a giant, distorted killing machine. Enjoyable on our end to watch, because I felt like Bizarro was gone too early from the narrative, but if you really think about it, it's a really sad fate for Bizarro Superman. And when they said that they were going to leave it on a cliffhanger, they weren't kidding. They were fighting on the moon. The moon. That's so cool. I can see why ending on that, if we didn't know that they were coming back for a 4th season, would make a lot of people very angry, especially because most people's arcs are not wrapped up in any sense. But if it was the end, I just have to say that would have been an epic shot to go out on. But we do know that they are coming back for a shortened season 4 now, but unfortunately with significant cast cuts. That does make me sad. I know some are back for a few episodes, just not as regulars, but it does suck, because it sounded like John, Henry, and Natalie are heading to Metropolis, so they won't be in Smallville anymore. Hopefully we'll see them again, but that sounded like a pretty good way to write them out. Dylan Walsh, Sam's actor, is gone, and that is concerning, considering that the last we saw of him was him getting kidnapped by Luthor's goons, so that's not great, since we know he won't be back from the social media posts, even though they offered him a few episodes. There are 2 ways I see them wrapping up his character. One is the not-so-great route of them searching for him, and he ends up dead off-screen, or they found him and he just, went into hiding to protect himself and the family, something like that. Something I really didn't like about this finale was the Kyle and Chrissy stuff. We started this season thinking that Lois might be pregnant, and now we're ending it with Chrissy actually pregnant, and Kyle proposing to her. I don't love it. I made it pretty well known that I wasn't a huge fan of their relationship through the whole season, but like a proposal and a pregnancy, it's only been a few months in reality since the divorce was finalized. But it's there and happening, so I guess I'll live with it. I'm okay with that falling to the background, even if at all, for the next season, because I know Kyle's got a few episodes, at least, that we know of. I can still see Lana and Sarah having parts next season, as Mayor and in the teen world, respectively, and I know that Indy is at least coming back for a few episodes. But c'est la vie, because it's good that we're getting any season 4 at all, because the CW is pretty much dead, as we used to know it, and for as much as I have harped on writing, CGI, the wigs, the whatever it is in the past, for all of these CW shows, it does make me sad, because I've watched so many WB or CW shows over the years. They've been very formative, and I know that the CW as a network allowed for writers and other crew members to learn along the way and grow into other positions. And that wasn't necessarily the case with a lot of bigger networks like ABC or an NBC. Mm-hmm. And that's becoming harder and harder with the new shorter seasons and smaller writers' rooms happening these days. So that was really kind of a gem on the crew side, on the filmmaking side of things. Anyway, in the face of the death of the CW, and in the potential death of Superman storyline happening, which honestly for a moment I thought that's what the cliffhanger was going to be, Superman dying or not breathing, and then they were just gonna cut to black. That was a pretty great finale, and it didn't try to wrap up anything in 20 minutes like they usually tend to do. The character stuff was all throughout. It was paced pretty well, and this lets Lex carry over as a very worthy villain into this next season, and I really like that. So I don't think I rated this at the top, so this, from me, is getting 9.5 Dark Side of the Moons out of 10. Really only points off for the Kyle Chrissy stuff. Otherwise, a very enjoyable and surprising finale. Alright, that's all for now. Until next time, whenever that may be, your friend, Dreamweaver.
Yay, it's good to have you back, Dreamweaver. We missed you.
Yeah, we sure did. It is good to have you back. And there's a theme going on through our discussion and the feedback, and that is everybody is so glad they didn't wrap things up super fast in the end, a la Stargirl finales. They let this one ride it out. Yes, they left us on a cliffhanger, but it doesn't matter. It's so good. They didn't wrap it up, and I love that they didn't.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Good stuff. Well, that is it for feedback tonight, and that is it for feedback this season, guys. So, yeah, look to our season 3 of Legends of Tomorrow review. We'll let you know when that starts. Check out the Facebook page and our Twitter accounts. We'll let you know there when we're starting that, and what else we might have going on. If we do some extra bonus stuff, we'll let you know. But just keep an eye out on those things, and you'll know when they get going. But if you'd like to be part of the show when we do that, this is what you have to do.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
All right. Oof. So glad it's just a season finale and not a series finale, because we've done enough of those recently.
Yes.
Seriously.
Oh my gosh, guys. Well, we're going to go from our finale into, I guess it's a season finale of our Patreon listener lounge. We haven't had one of those in a long time, but our good friend Dreamweaver, who you just heard from, left us a voicemail for our Patreon bonus content. So if you want to know what that is, you want to see what that's all about, well, you're just going to have to go to Patreon and support the show, and then you'll be part of the bonus content. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of extra fun questions that they get to ask, and we get to respond with our personal answers. So there you go. Check all that out, and like I said, keep an eye on our socials for what's coming. Get ready for The Mandalore as we take on Ahsoka very soon, and Star Wars Visions. We're also going to cover that. There you go. That's all I got, guys. We will talk to you as soon as we can. This is The Flash signing off from our Superman Lois finale.
And this is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
Bye, YouTube.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.